Hello, how are you guys doing? Welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we're going to be discussing something very interesting, and as you can see on my screen, we have a special guest in the house that will be discussing this topic with me. Today we'll be comparing living in the US and living in the UK. US versus the UK. We'll be comparing both lifestyle on different fronts, from the angle of healthcare, taxation, family life, and so many other areas. You don't want to miss any part of this conversation. So please sit tight with us and enjoy this conversation with us. If this is your first time seeing my face, my name is Esther, and this is my lifestyle channel. We'll be discussing everything lifestyle. And as an immigrant, I'm also discussing with Wuraola Odulate, who is also an immigrant. She used to live in the UK, but now lives in Canada. But don't worry, she'll give a little bit of a intro about herself very shortly. So stay with us. Before we go ahead, I want to appeal to you guys to please subscribe to my YouTube channel and give this video a thumbs up. By giving this video a thumbs up, you're helping YouTube push this video out to more people, and that would really mean so much to me. Thank you guys so much. All right, without further ado, let's get started with today's conversation. Ura, thank you for joining me here today. Trust that you are doing well. How are you?
Hi, Esther. Hi, everyone. My name is Wuraola Odulate, just as Esther introduced. I'm a makeup artist. I know I'm not wearing makeup. I'm a professional makeup artist. Currently a student at Anshop College, Canada, and I'm a new immigrant in Canada as well. I moved to Canada from the UK last year, 2024, and we're settled permanently in Canada now by the grace of God.
All right, thank you so much. So let's just start. Can you give a little bit of what you feel like life in the UK was? Because now you're in Canada, so maybe you'll be able to compare. But in terms of just a general summary of what you felt like life in the UK was for you.
Okay, so first of all, I moved to the UK in 2021, September 2021 to be precise, for my master's, and it was everything. It was really good. We had life. The problems we used to have in Nigeria were non-existent anymore in the UK, and it felt so good. Settling in at that time was easier. There were jobs available almost immediately. You could get the basic care jobs at that time, 2021. So yeah, and then transportation was very easy. It was very easy to navigate my way around, and generally settling down in when I moved. And yeah.
So now between US, I said yes, UK, you Canada, which one do you think you prefer more?
So to be honest, I'll have to do a full sit down video like this to compare both of them. But right now, I'll say both of them. There's no perfect place. That's my answer.
Mm,
Anyone that asked me recently, there's no perfect place. There's no
there are
perfect.
trade-offs between both of
Yes,
them.
you just have to, weigh your options. What exactly are you looking for, and then pick one.
Yeah, and sometimes most of those options would also depend on what fits your lifestyle.
Absolutely.
So for me, living in the US over the past 5 years, I've not lived in UK before. I've not lived in Canada, and funny enough, I've not visited any of these places, so I don't know what it is like. So I can only compare US with Nigeria, and so far my experience living US, Nigeria, on some fronts, honestly, sometimes I feel like there's just a little tad bit of difference, like, but on other fronts, we'll be like, oh, it is so different. I enjoy living in the US. I enjoy the access to so many resources that we have. Number one, it has even increased a lot of my interest in so many things. When I was in Nigeria, I didn't like to cook because the stress of going to the market used to give me a lot of headache. But here in the US, I enjoy the shopping process. I enjoy cooking. It has helped me discover so many more things about myself. The only thing is that sometimes I miss home, I miss family, I miss friends. But other than that, I have access to some of the food that we eat in Nigeria. I have access to the kind of clothing I want. So all the same, I feel like it's really a good move. When I left, I was not really looking to move. I was not so much interested in relocation or migration, but it's something that happened at that time. But when I look back now, I'm grateful. Like it's been over 5 years and it's been quite a journey. But I'm grateful to God that He has led me and helped me thus far. So it's a beautiful experience. And so, having discussed this, let's just go into different themes that we'll be comparing today, starting with healthcare. And I will start by discussing a bit of what healthcare in the United States is. So, for United States, when it comes to healthcare, number one, there's no government paid healthcare per se. Most healthcare processes systems are financed by insurance, and that insurance is tied to your employment one way or the other. Though there are some levels of insurance that you can get depending on how much you earn, because everybody knows that the United States is majorly a capitalist economy. So a lot of the things that you do is funded, self-funded. So you have to find your way around the private sector to have those things done. So healthcare is very expensive. Another thing about healthcare is there can be long wait times for some type of care that you need. Like if you have to, I remember one time I had a skin, I didn't know, some bump just came on my skin. I tried to see a dermatologist, and when I called, then we're still living in Seattle. I made some calls, and they gave me an appointment time to be that was 6 months away from the time that I had made it come, like 6 months away. So are you saying that this thing will stay on my skin for 6 months? I'm like, I urgently need to see a doctor. I'm like, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. We're all booked up. And I think then it was like 2021, just after COVID. So, after COVID, there were a lot of them were still dealing with like backlogs. I'm like, no, this is sad. So at that point, I just wish that I was in Nigeria, because there's no way I will not be able to see a doctor that day. So it's one of the things that make you feel like, no, 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 no. This cannot be the advanced country that they told us about. So healthcare is expensive. Access to healthcare might not be 100% available at the time that you need it. You always have to book appointments. If you miss your appointments by 15 minutes, you will pay, and you will not have your appointment. You cancel your appointment and you pay for that appointment. So everything is paid for. Medication is expensive. In fact, in this place, we always try to do self-care as much as we can before going into the clinic, because the worst is emergency. You don't want to have any reason to go into emergency. When I had my baby, after a while, we had to go into emergency. That's the only time I've ever gone to emergency. The bill that we received, thank God for insurance in this life. If not, I'm like, what is this? So when it comes to healthcare is not something that it's not affordable in the US at all. It is not.
Wow. Wow. The UK and the US are definitely worlds apart because in the UK, healthcare is one of the things that make people stay.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because healthcare is completely free.
Completely
So,
free.
yes,
Are you sure there's no
and
part where
completely
anything
free.
is deducted from your
Sorry,
salary or anything?
say that again.
Are you sure there's no point at which some deductions are made from your salary or income?
No, no,
So if you
absolutely
don't
not.
have income, you can still get healthcare.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you're a British citizen, for instance, free healthcare on all fronts. You're not
Or
paying
for
rent or anything.
non-citizens.
For non-British citizens that are residents, there is a way you pay some amount for insurance. It's like they call it IHSP when you're applying for your visa, depending on the route you are on. But you pay that. But I can assure you that what you're paying is nothing compared to the kind of service you receive
And
and
do you
the
have any
access that
tax?
you have. Yes, for instance, for my first year in the UK, my IHSP was about £700, and that was when at the end of that term was when I got pregnant. So I got free healthcare throughout my pregnancy.
Free delivery?
So yeah, free delivery, and I had a cesarean session.
I paid out of
I
pocket
had a
almost like 3K.
cesarean
Didn't pay
session.
out of pocket. Insurance payment was like over 30 something thousand dollars.
Wow. Oh, life is not balanced.
Not bad.
So I got, my pregnancy, the entire journey was free. And so healthcare in the UK is technically free. When you become a British citizen, if you're able to go through all the process, you won't have to be paying IHS fee or pay for healthcare. However, they have the same challenge with the US, and I'm sure that is much more worse than the US right now. So the story I heard was before COVID, everything was so good. Like the free healthcare was like at its peak, but COVID was like the you know the needle that came to burst everything. It was really bad. And because of COVID, there was loads and loads of backlogs that right now the NHS is struggling. The NHS is not able to keep up with the demand. The demand um, is is a lot. The demand for NHS service is a lot now, but they are only able to give so much more. So now, if you are sick, to see your doctor, to see your GP in the UK, you might be going days and days and days of calling, trying to get an appointment. You getting an appointment, it might take a while before the doctor actually sees you. Also, I remember last year, no, in 2022, yes, 2022, I had a lump in my breast, and it wasn't very big at the time. So I went to get it checked. It was after I got it checked that I found out I was pregnant, so they couldn't do anything about it. Like, okay, let's watch. We watched it, and I gave birth. My next appointment was about a year after I gave birth, and the the doctor um tested it and then was like, oh, it has increased in size, but it's not cancerous. But let's remove it. The size is too big. Okay, so we did all of this process, and eventually January last year, 2023, I had a surgery, the lump removal surgery, and it was completely free as well, by the way. Like, I didn't have to pay anything. So I know some people might have issue with me saying completely free, but let's be real. If they are charging for any form of healthcare, in the UK, I'm sure that most people won't be able to pay. Like 90% of people will not be able to pay. So um I would say that healthcare in the UK is quite, is free. As
Affordable.
long as
It's free.
yes, as long as you have that IHS, you pay that, and you can't even be a resident in the UK without paying it. It's part of your visa payment money. So whether you use it or not, it's up. Also, medication throughout pregnancy was free. However, there are some things you need to get signed up by your midwife. So because I got a penalty for getting free medication in pregnancy because my midwife didn't sign, give me the documents I needed to take the free medication in time. However, even if you're paying for prescription drugs, it's still really cheap. You're paying maybe £9 something, or I think it has increased now. I'm not sure. But yeah, you're paying something really ridiculous for your prescribed drugs. So I think healthcare in the UK is great on that front. But right now, they're suffering. The wait time is crazy. People have 1 year of wait time. People have, you spend weeks and weeks before you can access your doctor. So those are the problems that people are currently facing. And I've heard of stories of people that go back to Nigeria for healthcare. They
Wow,
take
that's
a
serious.
flight back home to quickly see a doctor urgently. But apart from all the many struggles, it's free.
It's free. Mm. So, like for the US, I wanted to confirm the £700 that you're paying. Is it every year?
So now it varies. It depends on the type of visa you are applying for, how long you'll be staying. There is no fixed amount. So the first time, that was like, it was supposed to be like for 1.5 years. That's £700 or 750. I'm not sure. However, we renewed our visa, and the next one was for 2 years. It was like 2 years renewal, and that one was like the 2 years renewal was about maybe 1,200 per person or
Okay.
so. So they give different quotes. I'm not sure how they come about the quotes, but they give you different quotes. So
Oh,
even for my daughter, after I had my daughter in the UK, we had to put her under our visa, and then
you have to
um
pay another money for her. Did you have to pay price?
yes, we had to pay a visa
So one
fee
way or
and
the other, they
then
had the money to, but all the same, it's still not as expensive as what we
because
have.
she just said you went to ER for and you paid
Yes. No.
30,000. Do you understand? Do you know how many people earn 30,000? We'll get to that. Let's keep it.
But anyway, one way or the other here, thank God for insurance. That's why it's always good. And most insurance will come with employment. So once you have a full-time job, at least those insurance that you get, they help to cover the cost of medical bills and all of that. And so sometimes if you're even paying, you're paying out of pocket, which is a lower amount. Like I said, for my delivery, my out of pocket was around $3,000. And I think I still got some refund afterwards because they did their
Nice.
balancing. Yeah. All right. So let's discuss taxation next. For us in the United States, it depends on how much you earn. So it's a pay-as-you-go system, similar to what we have in Nigeria. The higher you earn, the higher your taxation band, your taxation rates. But usually the range is from like 10% to like 37% being the highest, which is quite a lot of money. I remember the first time I collected my full-time salary, and that full-time salary had come with my sign-on bonus. When they had given my offer and I was happy that I was going to get a sign-on bonus, I was happy at least money will come, only for me to receive my salary net pay. And I saw the difference. I'm like, please, who am I working for? Am I working for myself or for the government?
I'm
I
working
went
for
to meet
IRA.
my husband. I went to meet my husband. I'm like, come on, guy, you did not tell me this how people used to do. What's this? I'd come in as a student, and as a student, I was paying a very insignificant amount as taxation, only to convert to full time, and I was seeing the difference. It was a whooping amount of money, guys. I'm like, no. So the higher money you get, the more taxes you are paying. So sometimes it can be very discouraging, but as my Yoruba people will say, "Owo abula fesha bula leju."
All right.
So
Okay,
let's have
so
it for UK.
tax in the UK. Well, very similar to what you just explained. However, I'm going to give numbers for the UK. So in the UK, the way they tax you, if you are earning per annum, if your earning per annum is up to £12,570, you're not paying tax. But how is that possible? How is
That's good though.
No? How is it possible that means you are earning practically 1,000 per month? It's not possible. Or even less than 1,000 per
Like
month.
for instance, maybe school leavers,
Yes, for students, yes,
people that are interns.
yes. You're not
That's
paying
still
any
a
tax.
good one because in
Hold
the
on.
US,
Okay. Let me finish.
I think
Okay, so if you're earning from 12,571 to 50,270, you're paying 20% tax. If you're earning from 50,271 to 125,140, you're paying 40% tax. And if
mm,
you're earning 125,140 and above, you're paying 45% tax. So you see, it's the same way every. So how many percentage of people in the UK are actually even earning that 50,000? In fact, if you're earning
50,000.
50,000, yes, that 50,000, you can Google it now. That 50,000 is like, you are part of the 1%. Sorry,
No,
but you're part of the
no,
rich. If
no.
you're earning
But
50,000 in the UK,
68. Okay, maybe we'll discuss that when we get to income. So let's
yeah,
not go
yeah.
deeper
Okay,
into
let's not jump. Okay, so for the tax, however, the difference, which I promise you, I'm still trying to wrap my head around taxation in Canada. I'm trying to put my mind in one place, not to get upset, because it's very upsetting. Especially coming from the UK, where your taxes, okay, they take it from your salary, right? And that's the end. And maybe you pay tax when you buy things, but you don't see it. It's not in your face. They don't spell it in your face, and things are not ridiculously expensive. Even with your income, you're still able to feed and get groceries and things. Live well. However, here in Canada, I've found it very surprising that apart from the normal tax, they have the tax bracket as well. Apart from the tax that they will take from your income, you have to pay for every single, like, it's mind blowing. I'm not even going to lie.
what
Like,
are the taxes?
they take HST and GST in Canada, and one of it is for the provincial government, one of it is for the federal government, and they are not small percentages. For instance, one is about 13%. I think the other is about, do you understand? I'm not even sure what the other one is, but I know that one is 13%. I think in this Ontario. There are some provinces that pay less, there are some provinces that pay more. But I'm still yet to wrap my head around the justification behind it. But it is well. We're not talking about Canada. So in the UK, what you see is what you get. Your taxes. You guys pay extra on when you buy food in the US. You pay tax when you buy
Yeah.
things.
No, food. There's no taxation on food. There are no taxes on food. But when you buy like clothing and other things from the store, definitely you have your sales tax on them. But for
Eh,
food, I
and
can't
are they
remember.
how many percent are they?
I think it depends on the state.
Because I heard
So it
that some
varies by
taxes are
state.
even
Like
very
another
low.
thing about taxation in the US that you will know is that when it comes to income, so some states charge state tax, some states do not charge. So when you live in the United States matters. For some people that like I live in Texas, Texas does not charge state tax. When I was living in Seattle, we were not paying state tax as well. But there are some states that will charge state tax. So in that state, if you are living in that state, you will pay state tax on your income, you will still pay federal tax on your income.
Yeah, that's how
So
it is.
sometimes some employers try to cushion the effect of this by offering higher pay to people living in those states. So it depends on the state. Like in Texas now, even for your tax, the taxation rate in Texas is different. So it differs by what you're buying, differs by the states. But I think it's
Mm.
generally like 10% and above, like that. And another thing about taxation in the US is at least in the US in the UK, they still give like a bandwidth of allowance to not pay anything. You said minimum 12.5, right?
Yeah.
In the US, there's nothing like that. From $0 and above, like this. So anything that makes you earn. So I believe that for like businesses, if you are not earning up to
So
everything is
business tax is different everywhere, to be honest.
yeah.
And,
But if
business is one
you
of the ways to actually be well
avoid tax. Yeah, it's actually very true. It's actually very, but
So
anything
let's
from
leave it as
$1,
personal tax. So
yeah,
not going
anything from $1 that you are earning, my dear sister, you have to pay 10%. At least 10% is the minimum tax you have to pay. You have to pay something. So that's one thing about taxation. But another thing I just see about is that the higher bandwidth is lesser than what is available in the UK. And the income, okay, we said we discuss that at income. So let's leave. So the next one that we're discussing now is income. And income for the US, I've heard a lot of people say that it is higher compared to some other places. We in the US feel like it can be better, but we're not complaining. So income also will vary by state, by employer, and by sector. So for some states, they earn better. Like Seattle, the income level in Seattle is higher than um, Texas, and that is because feel employers view some areas to have higher cost of living. So they try to make up for that by offering like California. If you work in California, you will most likely earn more than someone living in Texas because California has a higher cost of living. So I both of us could be working for the same employer and on the same level, but we're not earn the same thing if we're living in different states.
mm,
Yes, that's how it works. So the income is maybe okay. I think minimum wage in the US is like $7.25, which I've never seen anybody end that. When I was a student, my hourly rate then was like I think $20. So I feel like it was still quite okay. As a student, I didn't really feel like yeah, it could have been better, but it was something to still get by. So that's income for me.
all right, thank you. So income in the UK. Hmm. So first of all, the minimum wage right now in the UK is £11 and 40 something, and best
Too
believe a
high.
lot of people are on that minimum wage. Yeah, £11 and something is the minimum wage. £11 plus. When I came into the UK in 2021, it was about £9, and my first job was of that minimum wage. I went up a little bit and got a job that had £10. And the average income in the UK is about 37,000. And I
There's
tell you,
7,000 per annum.
per
Is that
annum,
net
yes,
of tax or gross?
gross. Yes, they'll still remove tax from it. So I'm telling you that so at that rate, at that income rate, you're paying 20%. So most people that I know, in fact, a lot of indigenous British people, they don't even earn a lot. Like they most of them will earn like maybe 25, 28, and they are doing well. That kind
Wow.
of stuff. It's most of us Africans that, we already know where we're coming from. We know what is chasing us and what we're chasing, that we want more for ourselves. So very few people, very, very few people in the UK are on that 50,000 bracket.
So people who earn six figures in the UK.
People earn six figures, but those are the 1% of the 1%. I'm not even joking. Those are the 1% of the 1%. People earn six figures. Very senior, maybe people
Like no
making
entry level role for six figures.
entry level role six figures in the UK. I've never seen it before. If there's anybody watching this video right now that has seen it, please jarrow me. Please tell me that I'm lying in the comments because I have an entry level senior management service of collecting. This is what you're saying. Very funny.
But it's very possible to find entry
My
level
sister,
roles.
even people that are doing 2, 3 jobs are not any six figures.
So what are they
Two, three,
doing two jobs to earn?
the 2, 3 jobs, maybe at the end of the day, they will get like maybe 60K, 70K when they collapse everything together. And then by the time you're even entering that 60K, you're paying 40% in tax. So how much are you making?
Wow, wow, that is ridiculous, honestly.
Yeah. So you see why UK has failed? Yeah.
I think that's
You
not far
guys,
from both
so,
of them.
so
They're
what
like
UK?
trade-offs.
Say that again.
I'm like, they're trade-offs, but I feel like on this income level,
It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. The income level is crazy. One of my aunties that moved to the US in I think 2020, she told me she lived in UK for a very long time. She had all her children in the UK, and her children are like her firstborn is almost 20. So you can imagine. So she moved when he was like 16 to the US, and then she told me after they moved, because it was after they moved to the US, we came to the UK, and then she was like, "We're in everything that you're doing. You see that UK, you'll be fine.
your mic is
You
going in
make
and out.
money. You will make money. You will buy a car, you buy a house, you have mortgage, you buy a house." However, it's like there's a spirit that is hovering around that you cannot just pass one by. You cannot pass just one stage. So it took her moving to the US to really see. Because tell me why she got to the US in less than 6 months, and she started to question her life decision and what she has been doing in the UK all her life. So I'm just saying that there's no one size fits all. There are people that against all odds they are thriving in the UK. There are people that are able to be different. But I promise you, if there's anyone that is really thriving in the UK, they have a business or they are doing something by themselves. And by I mean really thriving, I mean that they are wealthy and rich. They have a business. They have something that is bringing them personal income. You can't really be extremely wealthy on somebody else's job.
That's actually very serious because entry level roles here, at least you get six figures.
Wow. And
Yeah,
that's why they are charging people a lot now. So
you
it
get
makes sense. Big
like
boat. No,
especially if you are in tech,
that's what
especially if you work in tech, your probability of earning, if you have a master's degree, like I had, like if you have a master's degree, the probability of you earning six figures, like 80%, I would say, from my own experience. So that's
I
what I
think I need to move to the US.
yes, from my own experience. So
Because
that's
I have two masters. What am I doing in this
and some
Canada?
of these jobs will come with like sign-on bonuses. They will come with like stock benefits for some
And
companies that are listed. Some of them will also come with like even equity, like you get
I laugh
equity.
I laugh in Canada. I laugh in Great Britain. So,
And when people even tell you that they are doing multiple jobs, those people that are doing multiple jobs, maybe some of them are going on with like maybe 400K per year, 500.
wow. In the US.
Some people in tech, I don't know of other fields. I at least tech where I heard.
Healthcare as well. I heard that they make a lot of
Yes,
money in
healthcare.
the
There's
US
a lot of money in healthcare. So two fields that I know of, healthcare
and
and
tech.
tech. There's a
And I'm
lot of
sure there
money.
are other industries. The US generally,
Yeah,
from what I've heard, is favorable for business. I can't wait
yeah,
to
yeah.
that.
It's also favorable for businesses because now there are lots of deductions that you can deduct from your taxes. And if you are filing for your business as an LLC, like a single proprietor LLC, that allows you to also offset some of your expenses. So there are loopholes around this, and there are lots of also other opportunities to thrive in US, like real estate. People invest money in real estate. There are so many ways to invest in real estate that helps you earn extra income, even for the stock market. I feel like, but anyway, Shad, it's okay. It's okay. I don't want to, but I'm really
Well,
shocked
plus,
at what you just
see,
said about.
see,
So the next theme we will be discussing is cost of living, UK or US versus UK. So cost of living from my own perspective, living in US also differs by states. One thing that is so amazing about the US is that a lot of the states are autonomous. So, and in this, you will find that when you go from state to state, things are different. What operates in this state might not operate in that state. They're quite different. And so some states are more expensive than the others. And that's why when I discussed income earlier, I said that employers usually factor this in determining how much they would pay, how much salary you would earn. But in Texas, the cost of living, I feel like it also depends on what part of Texas you are living, because this Texas is very big. Texas is almost like two-thirds of Nigeria, so it is very big. It is very, very big. And so different communities, different locations have different costs. Dallas here is becoming more expensive, I would say, compared to what it used to be. And that's because a lot of people are moving down to Dallas, a lot of tech people. So when you find an area that has lots higher concentration of tech workers, tech employment, the cost of living tends to be high. We were living in Seattle before. Seattle was quite expensive. I remember how much we would buy groceries, and also even to get Nigerian groceries was more expensive. Like then, I remember we would spend like $200, and we end up with just 2 bags of groceries from African store. I'm like, what is this? What are we spending money on? But in Texas, it's better. But even the difference is becoming insignificant nowadays, because I feel like generally prices of groceries have gone up in the US in the past 4 years. Price of groceries have gone up. So the cost of living is still moderate. At least you earn the money. But the thing is that things are expensive. Like houses are expensive to find. Minimum rent depends on how many rooms you want to live in. But for rent, you'll be paying nothing less than $1,000 and above. I don't know if I think that should be like in Dallas, if you're trying to get I don't know so much about rental, but for like homes, you buy homes from like 350K dollars, at least something decent. I'm not sure I've seen it. I've come across anything that's like 200 and it used to be that like 200 and something $1,000, but not anymore. You won't find those kind of houses anymore. Minimum you will find is like 350 and above. I don't know if they still have those kind of homes in Houston or other parts of the US, but homes are quite expensive, and not everybody can afford to buy a house sometimes, and so people still do rental, which is okay. But I'm trying to see what to compare it with, but I would say that it's comparing cost of living will differ by state, it will differ by city, it will differ by your city.
I would say that cost of living in the UK is quite reasonable compared, because I've seen Canada now. So, um, compared to what you just mentioned about the US, cost of living in the UK too is very similar. However, there's not much difference between states. Do they call them cities anyway? Between cities in the UK and in England, for instance, the only place that is slightly higher is London, which is the capital city, and that's because that's where everybody is, everything is. And I promise you, the difference is not a lot. Maybe extra £5,000 on top, you know. For housing, renting a house in London is definitely more expensive than anywhere else. I might be wrong. Maybe there's some places I don't know, but it's general knowledge that London is generally expensive. I lived in Birmingham, which was quite reasonable. An average two-bedroom in Birmingham, as at when I was there, was like say 800 to 900 pounds a month. Um,
800, £900. I'm trying to convert that to USD. Let's see how much that is. 978 USD.
I'm just saying that 800 to 900 pounds. But as I when I was living, two-bedroom, you would have to look for maybe one to one. As at when I was living for two-bedroom apartment or house, you would have to be looking at maybe 1,000 to 1,200, to get a decent apartment or a house. So
Okay.
cost of living generally, cost of food is actually very cheap in the UK. Not even going to lie. With £10, you still get something to eat.
10.
However,
Do you
yes,
mean cooked food or groceries?
groceries.
£10. What are you buying with
Yes,
ten
you can
pounds?
get chicken of like maybe £3 to £5. So I don't know 2025 now, because you know that things have really gone bad in most places. But before, with £10 you can get, in fact, with £10 you can get spaghetti, get spice like raw spaghetti, get raw, spices, get chicken and cook a whole meal with £10. Yes. But now I'm not sure what it is in 2025, what is obtainable as at January 2025. However, with 10, £20, you can still get basic groceries to eat. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can still get basic groceries to eat. There are open markets that you can go to get your fruits, fresh fruits, £1, a bowl for £1, or £2 for a bowl and all of those things. So those are food generally is cheaper in in the UK. Also, clothing items, they have better clothes, and they have better clothes, and then they have what's it called, cheaper clothes as well. At least from what I've seen with Canada, the UK has, better quality of clothes. Even
Are
Primark
you
in the
serious?
UK, even Primark in the UK is better than some of the things I've seen in this Canada. However, however, like, the long and short of what I'm saying is that cost of living in the UK is fair, and you are able to live on your salary. You
That's
just might
good to
have,
know because
you just might not have more than enough. The basic things,
you
you
just be
pay your
average.
rent. Yes.
You just be average. That's good to know. So now comparing like that one to US, I think like in Dallas here now to get two-bedroom average is like from $18,000 and above. So I would say it's more expensive compared to how much you will pay in the UK. But let's not forget that the space that you will get here is bigger than in the UK.
Exactly. Because it just might be the size of your living room that is the whole house in the UK.
Yeah.
So don't forget that. And then it's even dependent. This price I'm saying is dependent on the area. Some places they are just
But $10 will not buy you anything in this US. Maybe it is like
ten
minimum,
pounds can still buy you something to eat. You buy bread, you can
yeah,
buy
it could
spag.
buy you bread. It
Spag
could
is
buy you
just,
bread.
you can buy spag less than £1. You know. So
Yeah, I
you
think we buy pasta
can
around.
buy, yes, you can buy baked beans, that's their food. You can buy potatoes, you can buy milk, you know.
Yeah, I think for us as well, pasta is around that range, $1 and some cent on top of it. I
And
think
that's what I'm thinking now. Like, because someone that is coming to spend $10, you must be really £10, yeah, you must be really good. So, and if you really want to eat, then
okay. So the next one we'll be discussing is about settlement, and in terms of settlement, we want to review
road to
it.
citizenship.
eh?
Road
Yeah,
to citizenship.
citizenship. Yeah, especially because we are immigrants, because that's the end goal. We have not come to just live here. We have to understand how we're going to get the Bali. So for the US has so many routes to citizenship. You can get married to a citizen, and if you get married to a citizen, for instance, within 3 years you get your blue card, your green, your blue Bali, your passport. You get through employment. It will take like 5 years, 5 to 7 years, depends on what route you come into. Say, for instance, your company files H1B for you first. After H1B, you get green card. From green card to citizenship through employment is like 5 years. But the important thing is that US, I think the road to citizenship is well spelled out, and those laws are quite stable. There's no fluctuation and okay, this one cannot apply again. There are some reviews and new laws that come around immigration, but when it comes to about thinking about citizenship as the end goal, it's still quite stable. You understand, okay, this is the level I'm getting here. So I feel like it's easier to settle in the US if you have come legally. You get, it's easier to settle down. So when you come in, Based on how you've come in, you can know when it is that you will qualify for green card, when it is that you qualify for citizenship. It is well spelled out, so you understand. So it's very straightforward. If you have done everything that you're supposed to do legally, you'll be fine.
All right. So for the UK, I believe it's quite straightforward as well, the pathway to settle. However, it's a bit difficult, you know, or prior to 2021, it was really difficult for people to get, like the visa that puts them on the path to settlement. So for instance, um, students that want to go through the student route to settle would have to be continuously studying for 10 years.
Continuously studying. What
Yeah,
is the job?
so okay, so yeah, like I mean students that want to that you just want to use the student route, you have to, you know, go it's usually 10 years for students that want to use the student route. So I have a friend or two friends that I know that that's their story. They went to school for about maybe 6, 7 years. They got, the post study visa. Then I think at one point, there was a volunteer visa that person got to keep them. After that one ran out, she went back to school again and all. And then she clocked 10 years and, you know, she got the indefinite leave to remain. However, that's not even a very popular route. That's not even a very popular route. The most popular route is
Just
employment.
to clarify, the indefinite leave to
Sorry.
that you mentioned, that's
Yes,
not the indefinite
leave
something
to remain.
ahead I mentioned. It is not citizenship.
No, it's not citizenship. You have
So
to be
after
on that
10
one.
years, you have not gotten citizenship.
No, no, no. You'll be on indefinite leave to remain for 1 year, then you can
Oh,
qualify.
okay, that's like 11 years. Not so bad. Okay.
Yeah. So, but that's the extreme cases, and that's the case of most people before 2021, 2020, 2021. So in 2020, 2021, they made it a bit easier, especially when the UK separated from European Union. So
Brexit.
they encourage more people to come. Yes, when Brexit happened, they encourage more people to come from Africa, from Asia, and all. So they brought back, um, they made it easier to get work visa. It wasn't something that was very, very popular prior to that. They made it easier to get work visa. And if you're on that tier two work visa for 5 years, then you can get your indefinite leave to remain. However, the tricky thing about the tier two work visa, even though it's working for a lot of people, there's the risk of the employer is in control of your um pay, so to say. So if you lose your job, you have to look for another one within 2 months, or you lose everything and have to go back to the existing job. So for me, I feel like that's too much power for to an employer because anything can happen, in 5 years. But of course, if you are with a company that is stable, that's been present for a long time, I don't think it's something one needs to worry about. Another thing that made it easier was the introduction of the healthcare job. So the healthcare jobs too were classified as tier two, jobs, and they also had the 5 year route. They also have the 5 year route that once you've consistently done the job. So there are some criteria that people have to meet. So you have to be to ensure that you're keeping to the rules in those 5 years, so they don't deny or extend
So after
before
5 years,
the
you get the
ILR.
ILR too.
Yes, you get the ILR. However, but the 5 years you pay for your visa and everything. Then the ILR as well, you pay for your visa and you pay for IHSC. Before you become a citizen after the ILR 1 year.
Mm. So the tier two visa you mentioned is quite similar to what we have here called H1B visa. So H1B visa is sponsored by an employer for people. So when an employer sponsors you on H1B visa, you are tied to them. You can't work anywhere else as well. And if something bad happens, let's say somebody gets laid off, we have to find another job within 60 days. Otherwise,
Yeah, that's
you
it.
have to leave. Otherwise, you have to leave. So I feel like it's very similar to that. But
Yeah,
other
but however, the ones I listed are not all. That's not all that exist. There are so many more options. But there's the global talent visa where you can sponsor yourself. But with global talent, you have to have gotten an award in some sort of things. You have to have done some things that you've been recognized for, and you have to be able to prove it. You also have to get like references from some people that are, industry in your industry that recognize you and all of these things. So that one is a longer route, but it's also another route that you can
Yeah,
go
that one is similar to
there's also Tech Nation. Sorry, there's also Tech Nation. So there are so many options now. You just need to do your research
informed.
and see what works for
The global talent you mentioned is similar to what we have here as NIW EB1. EB1 too is for exceptional ability, so it's similar to something like that. So I feel like all of these immigration policies also they are similar. Their entire aim is just to attract the best people from other
you.
countries to
Absolutely,
grow their
absolutely,
own country.
absolutely.
All right, so let's move to the next topic. The next topic we'll be discussing is vacation travel. Then we'll move to childcare. Okay. All right. So discussing vacation and travel. I feel like vacation in the US is very expensive. Like traveling within the US is expensive. The last time we traveled, I think in September, no, it was in November last year. This is January. We went to California from Dallas, California. I think our flight was like $800 or so. No, I think it was like about 400 and something, almost like $500 per person.
Wow.
So imagine that. And how many hours flight was like a 4 hour flight? Was it 4 hours or 5 hours? I think I'm forgetting. It was around that range, 3 to 5 hours or so. But still, like it's so expensive. Visiting interstate is so expensive. It's and honestly, when I came into the US, it used to even be more affordable than that. But recently, prices have gone up, and I feel like the United States is so far from the rest of the world. It's only close to Canada. It's traveling to Canada is probably like 600, 700 or so. But traveling to like Europe is expensive. Traveling to Jamaica is still a bit affordable because Jamaica is close to us, Mexico is close to us. So traveling to those places, but it's still expensive because if you were to go to Mexico right now, you still spend like maybe $700 for ticket. That's when you find a cheap ticket. Also, traveling to Nigeria is expensive. Last year I was considering traveling to Nigeria for my sister's wedding, but the ticket I was seeing was so expensive. I was finding ticket though. I think around the time I was checking was quite late. I saw some ticket for like 4K and they were not first class tickets. I'm like, why would I pay 4K to go to Nigeria when I'm not taking if it were to be a first class ticket, fine, I
Or
can take
business class.
up. Yeah, I'm not going to go cramp myself for 13 hours and be paying 4K. The cheapest that you will find for tickets to Nigeria is around from Dallas is probably like 1518. That is if you book way ahead. Way ahead. It's a lot of money. So when it comes to travel in this US, you have to be very rich to be traveling up and down. So it's the way you can do it is just to have a travel account that you're maintaining and you're probably putting a high yield savings account so that at least the money as it's sitting there is earning some more money for you. It's not just sitting there. Because if not, you can't just take money and say, okay, you can't just say, okay, let's just travel. If you just say let's just travel, that means that you are very boxed up. Money all pour gone. So travel is very expensive. Vacation, but the thing is that there's also the problem of distance. Most of these states are quite far apart. So because
Yeah.
of that, the more distance you have to travel, the more expenses you have to pay. But generally, the cost of traveling is expensive in the US.
Okay. So in the UK, because Europe is quite a small continent, and they share border, land border, and the whole of the UK is, like the whole of Europe, they are very, very, very close. Their land mass is smaller than the Americas. It's easier and way cheaper to travel around Europe. Um, Even with your student visa, there are some countries in Europe that you can go without visa. But to get the most of Europe, all you need is to get a Schengen visa. Once you have Schengen visa, you can go from country to country literally in a weekend or in a week, you know. So it's easy to tour Europe when you are in the UK. So
No wonder people are always
that
traveling.
made Hmm?
I said no wonder people are always traveling.
Oh, absolutely. You'll see if you book way ahead, you'll get flight tickets as low as £50. You know, there was a time that my daughter's first birthday, we were going to. We went to Edinburgh in Scotland. It's still within the UK anyway. And the cheapest means of transportation to the place was the flight, because to take train I was going to be spending about 200 or something pounds. To take the bus, which will be painfully long, was about maybe 80 or 90 pounds. But the to fly was about maybe 40 something pounds, you know. So we flew, and,
24
and
hours was
flying
it?
was the cheapest, 45 minutes flight, and
Wow.
it was very cheap. So, yeah. So that was how we did it. So it's really cheap to fly within Europe.
So childcare in the US. Now I know that I've heard about some other countries offering free child delivery and all of that. There's nothing like that in the US. You either pay through your insurance or you pay out of pocket. There isn't anything like free delivery that I know of. No. And also, one thing I know is that at the end of each year, when you file your taxes, the parents get a certain amount for the kids. I think it's about 1,000 something. It depends also on your income level you get, but for each child, that's the other benefits you get. Some people also get something they call, I forgot what this thing is. It's like a rebate for groceries. That when you go buy groceries, you pay a reduced amount, but it's not everybody that qualifies. So for people that are within a certain low income band, they qualify for all those kind of rebates. But once your income level has passed that, there's nothing like that for you. So you have to pay full. So basically, there isn't so much benefits as per se for you know for childbearing and all of that in the US that I know of. Yeah.
So in the UK, um, if you are not a British citizen, you do not qualify for any form of benefit apart from giving birth to your child for free, which technically you are paying IHS fee for anyway. But apart from that, even when they offer you, you run away from it. The only kind of benefit that you can take is your employment. Is like maternity allowance. That's what they call it. In Canada, they call it employment insurance or something. But in the UK, it's maternity allowance. If you have worked for up to a certain number of months before you got pregnant and gave birth, then you are qualified for maternity allowance as a mom. You know, that's the only instance where you can get.
What
And
about
it's not necessarily a benefit itself. It's just
what about
you
leave? Like, what's the leave period that they give for
for
maternity?
1 year. You
Okay,
get 1 year
that's
of maternity leave.
that's one
You
good
get
thing.
1 year of maternity leave, and they
Is
pay
it
you
all
for
paid for?
no, they pay you for I think 9 months. I think they pay you for 9 months.
What happens for the remaining 3 months? You don't earn income.
Well, it's your choice now. No, you don't earn anything.
I think it's still fair if you
Ah,
ask me,
I think
because
it's very fair.
in the US
Very.
there's nothing like that. Some
But your child does not get anything. Does not get
yeah,
anything.
but even in the US here, what are we getting? Let's be real. What are we getting? Because a lot of people will not qualify for most of those benefits.
Absolutely.
Like me, I've never enjoyed all those rebates, kini con. The only thing I've enjoyed is that tax refund that we get. Small
Anyway,
money.
that's the difference in this Canada. Sha. As angry as I am, I've gotten some benefits that going to like
So,
I'm
like I
getting
heard that
help
leave
to
in
my
Canada
daughter.
is even longer.
You know, my daughter is going to free daycare and all. So, but we
There's
get
nothing like that here. There's nothing like that. Childcare is also expensive in US. Like I didn't even talk about this. Like daycare is expensive. For my son
so
right
it's
now,
also is very very expensive in the UK. It's very expensive.
eh,
So that's
like
why a lot of children don't go to daycare in the UK.
in the
The
UK.
parents find a way to balance their
But at least we know that from age like 4, or is it age 4 or 5, when they start going to the government
kindergarten.
schools, it's free. But before
Yeah.
then, like right now for my son, we're paying about 1,615, between 1,516 every month for his
So
daycare.
I think now in the UK they have now made okay, so like for children that are like maybe 2 or 3 years, I'm not sure now, they can get like certain number of hours to go to a public school for free, like it, you know. a school for free. So
Is
they
it
call
all
it
over the
nursery.
UK? Because I think I heard about that. They were saying it's limited to some areas.
So you see how it's not a very consistent thing, right? So even I am not very sure, the modality, but I know that, your children, once they are three, in the normal school age is 4, yeah. But once they are three, they can start to go maybe 15 hours a week. But what do you do with 15 hours a
It's still something, no.
week? Okay, it's still
15
something.
hours is still
Yeah.
something, no. Let's not lie, oh. Hey, it's still something, no. Anything to reduce the bill is something. So
I know.
childcare in the US is expensive.
No,
Daycare
it's
is
excessive. Daycare fee in the UK, and daycare is like, okay, they call it nursery. Nursery fee in the UK. There are some nurseries that you pay up to maybe 50 pounds per day. You know, my cousin's cousin, her children, both of them, I think they were paying maybe 1 to 1.5 per month
both
for,
of them for 1 2
or 1.5 per month for daycare.
or
That's,
each person.
no, both of them.
That's still fair.
Either both of them or each person. I'm not even sure because this
Please,
was not my own experience. I
I-
know it's ridiculous. I promise you, it is very ridiculous.
all right, guys. So this is where we draw this video to a close today. We hope that you have enjoyed this conversation.
As much
And
as we
this
have,
is as much as we have, because it just sounds like we've been gisting, which is very good.
absolutely.
So, guys, please, we want to have you join the conversation. Leave us some comments below. Whatever part of the world you're watching from, what's it like in your area, compare like on these different topics, income, healthcare, childcare, things like that. Please let us know in the comment section. And if there's any misinformation you feel like we've offered from what we've said, please forgive us. You can provide the correct answer in the comment section. God bless you very.
Thank you.
So I'm going to leave Wura Ola's YouTube channel. I'm going to leave a link to her YouTube channel in the comment section. She has recently moved to Canada, so she's giving us all updates about life in Canada, how easy it is to settle down, even the process of migrating to Canada. So please go follow, go subscribe, go show
Thank
some
you.
love. Okay, so until we come your way again next time, guys, do take care and don't forget to subscribe if you have not. Don't leave without subscribing.
Bye.
All right,
Thank
love you
you.
guys. Bye.
Bye.